We're going hot. Ready? All right, before we get started with your interview, why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm Zach. I'm one of the 3 founders of the Smoking Standard. Steve was gracious enough to invite me to join his project, and so we're here working on it.
All right, let's dive right in. Who or what introduced you to cigars?
So I was about 15 years old, and one of my buddies that was 16 had his driver's license at the time. So he invited me over to his house one day, and we skipped class and broke into his dad's little smoke shack, and he pulled out a handful of cigars. So we went fishing in kayaks, and I lit up my first cigar. It was a Gurkha, and I think Gurkha was the only brand he let me steal from his dad. So probably the first 20 cigars I ever smoked were Gurkhas, and I couldn't tell you which ones they were. But to this day, every time I smell a Gurkha, it reminds me of cigars. Now, I smoked probably 100 with my buddy, but I think when I joined the Army, I didn't really smoke that much, maybe super special social occasions, weddings and stuff like that, but wasn't really until I moved back here that I started frequenting our local lounge and really delved into cigars.
When did cigars shift from hobby to passion or into a business?
So like I said earlier, I smoked a ton of cigars, and I never knew why I was smoking them. Really just, I guess, the influence of my friend. But then, of course, came the phase where you smoke and you're comfortable smoking cigars at events, celebratory style cigars. But really, when I started frequenting a lounge is where cigars became a normal part of my life. And I wouldn't say it was an everyday thing, but it was definitely the people in the lounge, the atmosphere, and the hobbies that revolve around smoking cigars that brought it from a casual thing to more of a hobbyist to more of a part of my life. Cigars are the reason I started golfing. There was a gentleman in the lounge, pro, that called me down to join his group one day, and the first question out of his mouth was, "Do you golf? If not, you're gonna start." And I think that's what I enjoy most about it. So when it comes to a business aspect, I wanted to create a business so that I could offer the same thing that Pro offered me to other people with intent, with purpose, and really with it having my own ability to bring people into the world of cigars and cater and cultivate their journey more than just somebody handing another person a cigar. I want to be able to give them an experience and introduce them to a world and a society of cigar smokers that are there to support them so that they will hopefully one day love it as much as I do.
What role does terroir play in tobacco flavor for you?
So when I first started smoking cigars, I didn't truly understand what I was smoking. And I'm referencing when it became more of a hobby and a weekly thing for me. The only thing that I knew was every time I looked at the band of the cigar that I liked, it was Nicaraguan. And then you look at the regions within Nicaragua, and you get different tasting notes. I didn't really understand what those tasting notes were and what they tasted like, but I kept going back to Nicaragua. So certainly the soil and the mineral composition of the soil changes the way that the leaf looks, tastes, feels. It's really a personal preference on what you like. You have to figure out your own palate. So I can tell you what all the tasting notes are, and I can tell you that this tobacco is from this region, and I can even tell you why it tastes that way. It's obviously the entire composition of the cigar, from the wrapper, binder, and filler, that makes the flavor profile it is, and it all comes from the soil just like any other crop.
So, what's your go-to pairing and why? And do you approach that scientifically or emotionally?
I think, as any other experienced cigar smoker, we're always going to combine coffee and cigars. And coffee truly goes with anything. As far as pairings, I would approach it more emotionally, again, because the core of my cigar experience and the reason that I love cigars so much is really because of atmosphere and social gatherings and friendships and business relationships. I'm going to take an emotional approach to pairing cigars and liquor. I like high proof liquor. High proof liquor does not tend to play well with cigars. You're not going to pair it so much as one thing might lend to another flavor. But I think in the world of high proof bourbons and scotches, you're really tasting the liquor over the cigar, and the cigar just enhances the experience. When you talk about lower proof things, you can get a lower proof rum. It's sweeter. It's going to play more nicely with a cigar, but I'm not sure that I have the knowledge to tell people this cigar will go with this liquor. It's all personal preference. It's what you enjoy, and that's the most important thing for me, is providing cigars and liquor or other beverages that's going to enhance the social atmosphere for that person.
What cigar would you recommend for someone celebrating a major life win?
That's a very tough question. Oftentimes people think more expensive cigars means a better cigar. They associate the colors of the cigars with what the flavor profile is going to be. If that person could give me a list of cigars they like, whether it's notes they take on their iPhone or pictures of cigar bands or they keep a journal, that would help me to choose a cigar for them much more appropriate than just picking a cigar. Oftentimes people will walk into a cigar lounge with a couple bands in their pocket and they go, I liked these, what can you give me? I don't think cigars work that way, because depending on the day, your emotional status, what you ate earlier that day, if you're currently drinking coffee, I can't choose a cigar that's just going to play with your taste at that time. But I can make an educated recommendation if you tell me a little bit more about what you've experienced in smoking cigars. There are brands out there that are known for extraordinary quality, consistency, and they clearly express what the strength of their cigars are, what the flavor profile is, and what the experience that you should be getting out of the cigar. So I can always recommend a quality cigar. I'm just not sure that I can recommend a cigar that is going to to absolutely suit your needs.
Do cigars build relationships differently than other social settings?
Cigars are a vessel for conversations, which is actually what brought this brand together. We all met in the same cigar lounge. I think it's a perfect, ritualistic, and traditional environment, and it's a great tool to bring people together to talk about common ground, even if they don't agree on anything else in life. But with cigars and lounge etiquette, there is an understanding that you have to be a professional in that atmosphere, whether it's talking about politics or talking about anything else. You can't let that get out of hand. So through smoking cigars and spending time in cigar lounges, I've met so many people that I never otherwise would have met. I've developed hobbies and played many different sports, traveled, all in the pursuit of a cigar. And I think, I'm not sure that there's anything special to what a cigar can do. I think it's just the atmosphere and the environment that we all participate in, revolving around the one thing, cigars.
So if you could smoke one cigar with one person, who would it be?
If I had to pick one person to smoke a cigar with, I'd have to go with Frank Sinatra. I think going back to our branding, the design of our logos, the inspiration that we've pulled from, we love the vintage vibe. We love the speakeasy, the dark colors, the leather, the properly groomed men. Being a professional in whatever aspect of your life it is. And I think that Frank Sinatra really, really holds the core value of being a man, being a professional, looking your best, while also maintaining a social life that he wanted to. The nightlife, the clubs. I don't know. I think he was just a man's man, and I think he would be a really interesting guy to sit down with and learn about the 40s, 50s, 60s, and delve into the world that truly, within the United States, created the atmospheres that cigars bring us to.
If your brand had a code, what would its core principles be?
So we talk about the core principles of our business all the time. And of course you have truth, right? And an obligation to each other and to anybody watching, anybody that we interact with. But I think the most important things for me is transparency. Our brand is our brand, and it represents us, and we represent it. And if we're not transparent with our actions and the content that we produce, then I'm not sure that anybody is going to believe us when we say something. I also really try to focus myself on relationships, again, within the group of the three of us, within our friends at our local lounge, but also everybody that I interact with through our networks, whether it's Instagram or YouTube. I want to be a professional at all times, and I want to be better every day. I want to hone my skills. I want to increase my knowledge, and I cannot do that without the people around me. So my brand would be reliant on my professionalism and the relationships that I can build with others.
What advice would you give someone starting their cigar journey?
It's really tough because every individual is unique. And I know that's cliche, but that ties back into your flavor profile too. So if you're a brand new smoker or you've smoked a handful of cigars throughout your life, you don't know what you like until you know. And it's tough because you can walk into a cigar lounge and you can ask an associate to help you pick a cigar. And they're going to recommend probably what is most popular for people that smoke lighter cigars. They should be cognizant enough to not recommend you smoke something very heavy, high nicotine content. So they're probably going to push you towards a shade or a Connecticut. But that's not always the right choice. You know, Connecticut's can be bitter and it turns a lot of people off in the beginning. So I would say just pick something and try it and be patient. It takes somewhere between 40 and 90 minutes to smoke an entire cigar. And you may not be prepared for that. You also may not be prepared for how much nicotine you're going to get off of that. So, and part of patience is smoke slow, don't rush it. Don't make yourself sick, because if you walk away from that first cigar or that 10th cigar not feeling happy about the decision you made, you may never come back. So just take your time. Understand that not every cigar is going to be up your alley. You may not like it at all. And just experience it and experience the environment and the atmosphere that this cigar has to offer you. Go to your local lounges and hang out with people. Sometimes you may not be happy with that cigar, but you're going to meet people and you're going to have an experience that you never would have if you didn't walk in. The cigar, again, is only a vessel for us to create an environment to be comfortable in, to meet people, to make relationships. I can't tell you how many cigars you're going to smoke until you figure out what you like, but do not focus on the science of the cigar. Somebody may say, I tasted this note, this is from this region, this is how I know. You don't have any business in trying to understand that. Just focus on yourself, focus on trying to figure out a certain brand you like or a certain style of cigar you like, and go from there. People are your friends and people will help you, but they may tend to recommend their brand or the cigars they smoke, and that might not be suitable for you.
Awesome.